Buckle up, excellence junkies, because this podcast is definitely for you. Welcome to Rock-It Fuel. Do you wish that you could surround yourself with people that love to kick ass just like you? Well, come to my party, baby, and meet some of the brightest stars in the entrepreneurial galaxy, because it is my mission to give these entrepreneurs a platform to declare what they are on this planet to accomplish and to show you why they are rocket fuel. Guys, I am so excited today. It has been a while, and today I am going to introduce you to somebody who is a globally renowned video creation expert. I'm so excited that you are an award-winning filmmaker now.
What?
Which is crazy. Yes, and we're going to talk about this journey, but truly somebody who is rocket fuel and helping us understand video creation and how to disrupt the market. Marley Jaxx, we are so happy to have you here. This is a very, very important topic as more and more people are becoming even more confident and excited about sharing of themselves on video and on YouTube, but they feel like nobody's seeing them. They're putting themselves out there and they're just drowning out there. So Marley Jaxx, give us a little bit, first of all, of an inspirational statement around video creation, because I know a lot of entrepreneurs that are really, really frustrated with trying to be seen.
Absolutely. And trying to be seen means that we have to capture attention. And think about anyone that you follow that you didn't know before. How did they get your attention? It was by being disruptive. They disrupted your scroll. They disrupted the typical stuff that you were seeing. They disrupted the messaging that we're so used to hearing. So when we talk about video content, really any content on any platform, we focus on an element of disruption, and that disruption creating a higher status for you in your marketplace. We want to turn people into the icons of their industries.
Yeah. So it's kind of interesting because this concept of being disruptive, it sounds ballsy, right? It's kind of like, it is ballsy, right? And, but it's scary. It's scary for people to be ballsy. But what I find is really interesting, and I want to kind of like rewind a little bit in your story, because I feel that your story is really a story of becoming you, right? And sometimes we get this feeling that it's ballsy to be ourselves, but really it's just becoming ourselves. Can you tell
We should put that on a t-shirt.
Right? I mean, it feels like it's brave to all of a sudden be like who you truly are. So can you tell us a little bit about like who you were before Marley Jaxx, right? Because you weren't Marley Jaxx first when you actually went into your entrepreneurial journey. So can you talk about that?
Yeah. Well, and one thing that's coming to mind before I get into that is I remember the very first time I started creating content when I was in university. I created a blog, and it was really mostly for myself, to challenge myself to write every single day. And I did it publicly so that there was also that public commitment. And, also being an artist, we want an audience to know that our content or our art is being received. Yeah. And I would write daily in there, really. And again, remember, like, this was for me to start. Like, it wasn't at first to build an audience. But when an audience came, I kept hearing this feedback of people being like, Marley, you are so honest. And I was like, what else am I supposed to be?
Right.
And so for you to say, like, it's ballsy to be yourself, I didn't realize that it is. And when people sometimes hear, that I'm encouraging, like, be a disruptor, and we got to disrupt our industries. And sometimes people are like, oh, I'm not trying to ruffle any feathers. I'm not trying to, like, I don't want to be mean to anyone. I don't want to bully anyone. Like, whoa. Where did you get that idea from?
Yeah.
Being disruptive means shaking the status quo, but it doesn't mean that we have to be like negative in that. You think about people throughout history, the ones that have changed history are the ones that were willing to disrupt a current message. People like Jesus, Mother Teresa, Gandhi. There were people back then that did not like them, and we know that. And there are people, though, that hundreds of years later, thousands of years later, depending on the example, have been forever changed by those people who were willing to be disruptive. A little bit about my story that you asked. I actually started my career as a dental hygienist. What? Like, how did she go from that to that?
I love it.
Yeah, I was a dental hygienist. When I was a kid growing up, though, I always wanted to, my dream was to make movies in Hollywood. It still is. You'll see me post all the time about like, I am manifesting that movie with Leonardo DiCaprio.
Oh, yeah.
He's right here.
There you are. You're on screen with Leo right now.
Like my little Leo award. I'd like to thank everyone for me. Anyway.
Now, what I love, I just want you to know that you may not know this about me, but I mean, I definitely felt the vibe, but I'm a theater geek. So I've performed on stage and, you know.
I can see that from you. Like you're so energetic and vibrant.
Like,
yes.
And this is like not on caffeine. But I felt that from you as well. And I heard about your background in comedy. So I want to hear that too. But there are a lot of my listeners that have that theater background as well. And I find that it's very interesting because performers are very entrepreneurial in nature. Like that, I mean, you have to be an entrepreneur if you want to be a successful performer.
And even the introverts, like that's something that, well, can I do this if I'm an introvert? A lot of introverts are massive, incredible performers, leaders, speakers, and they can come up with content that is so prolific and profound because they're more introspective to find that. So that's sometimes an objection that I get. Well, I'm an introvert. So is, you can name off so many people.
Yes, there are bazillions of people out there that would appreciate and align with that and sharing the story too. Okay, so let's go back. Rewind to the dental hygienist, right? And so how did you perform as a dental hygienist? That's kind of
No, that is so funny that you asked it like that because I was bored to tears of cleaning teeth all day. Like one patient after another, and I'm like cleaning the, scaling.
You can't get any feedback. You're like, ba-da-ba, and they're like,
from their head or in their mouth. So like, it's a one-way conversation. So how I actually entertained myself is I would tell stories all day. And I would tell the same story, but I would split test it between patients.
No.
And so like patient 1 to patient 8 got like a drastically different story. And by the end of the day, I was like, well, there we go. Like, what am I going to do with this story now? Like I wasn't creating video content at that time, but I mean, I think that helped me to become a better storyteller and think about all that happens between like hour 1 to hour 8 of the day, how much a story can expand. A lot of entrepreneurs, they'll tell a story and they're like, that's it. Like, have you considered how you can change that story, make a bigger inciting incident, expand the hero's journey, bring in that, that hopeful guy, the whatever, I like to use the hero's journey as an example, but yeah, that's how I entertain myself as a dental hygienist who, cleaning teeth is not creative at all.
Oh, funny. But you see what's interesting and important for everybody to hear about this is that that spark is always in you, right? So who you are, it comes out in whatever you do.
Yeah.
And what happens is over time, you wind up growing to realize like, oh, this is who I am. This is the flavor, the spice that I add onto life, onto my life, onto other people's lives, right? And as you start to get that entrepreneurial bug and you want to start sharing some of that spice, and I feel like sometimes people don't recognize that that's the desire that they have. They feel like there's something to share and you might not know exactly what it is. But when folks talk about kind of creating your personal brand and such, it's really tapping in to that spice. So you had that spice even as a dental hygienist and you were practicing that. So then what happened? Like what got you out of people's mouths
out of
and
people's mouths.
and into people's ears and,
Yeah.
and
No,
eyes.
I love how you're describing, like, we should have you write my my biography, because I like how this is coming out. So again, bored to tears of cleaning teeth all day, I started to do the social media for the dental office. I would just make Facebook posts, Instagram posts, about whatever was going on in the office. Like, I would make stories about our office goldfish, and I would tell something that happened, on the weekend to one of the dental hygienists, and I would make these posts. And then people will come into the office being like, hey, your stories are funny. I'm scared of going to the dentist, but like, you guys seem like really personable.
Oh, that's
So I was like,
cool.
oh, that's cool. This works. And I was just doing it for fun. Like, I didn't, between patients, like, kind of bored doing that. And their IT guy was like, hey, would you be interested in doing social media for one of my other clients? And I'm like, yeah, sure. Next thing I know, he's referred me to all of his clients. And I have a business. And I didn't, this funny part is, I didn't know what to charge. So I overcharged. Like, my first client, I walk in the door, they're like, how much would you charge to, make daily posts on these platforms? I'm like, I don't know, like $2,000, brand new social media manager. I have no idea what I'm doing. And then I go into this, they said yes. I'm like, wow, okay.
Whoa, okay.
And then I go into a Facebook group with the social media managers. So I'm like, well, I better learn what I'm doing. And I'm like, how much do you guys charge? And so many of them were like $300 a month. I'm like, I charge $2,000. They said yes. And so I'm like, I got to over deliver. Well, but then the next client, I was like $3,000. They said yes. So I'm like, and then I have clients that are in the thousands of dollars for a brand new social media manager in a group with these, and a lot of these social media managers have like money, false beliefs. And here I am like, well, I make $45 an hour as a hygienist. And I know that this worked to get people in the dental office.
Right.
So like, but if I have more time and money to be able to spend actual focused time on it, then I'll be able to make even better content. And I know that they make this much money. And if I even got them one patient or one client or whatever the business is, then that makes me worth it. And so I just, like, from the beginning, overcharged and then just learned. And I also was like, because I felt that I was overcharging, I over delivered. And some of those clients I kept for years.
Yeah. And it's interesting how when you also have that financial kind of feeling of stability, because you were working, right?
Mm-hmm.
So it takes that feeling of lack out of the process, right? You're just like, hey, I'm making $45 an hour already. This is pretty valuable stuff. This is what I'm going to put it out there for. And so that it's just interesting to observe that money mindset kind of perspective, because when we are putting it all out there and we don't have some sort of financial stability, then we get really desperate. We charge too low. We say yes to the wrong clients. We accept anybody, and so you were at a really, really good starting point there. And then you realize, like, I want to create high quality and keep it that way.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely.
Wow. So then
when you're out of that scarcity, you can be so much more creative and then just focus on creativity and service.
Yeah. And that's why there is nothing wrong with having some sort of job, a part-time or something that you kind of have on the side while you endeavor into your entrepreneurial world. Like, for me, it was a little wacko because I was working in a corporate environment, and it was kind of interesting because I liked to invent things, and the large corporation that I had worked with basically had to sign a contract that said if we invented anything that they could potentially own it. So I had to just like leave, and I saved up money to leave and go for it. But it's in retrospect, I probably would have figured out some other way to be able to have a little bit of a more financial stability before starting, because that feeling of scarcity can really break you out of being courageous, creative, and just kind of your sense of value as well.
Yeah.
So now, you start this agency, and were you like, okay, this is kind of, this is where I want to be, or was there like a next level that you saw it opening yourself?
It was such a surprise for me, and what a cool lesson and like evidence in life that sometimes the best things come to you not by you pushing for them or trying to make them happen. Like, it fell in my lap, but it was totally what I wanted without knowing that I wanted it. I wanted a career with freedom and creativity and working with So like was working with some like celebrities of their industries, and continue to, like, that's what it started to evolve into. Then I was making videos for some of my clients, and then I was making videos for myself, answering frequently asked questions from my clients. And some of those videos started to really take off. And I was like,
Yeah.
whoa, can I do this again on purpose? And then I would fly out to some of my clients, because then I started growing beyond just local clients. And I would batch film like 6 months of their content in a few days. And then we would produce their content for the next 6 months and just keep doing that. And eventually then I got a studio, and then clients would fly to me. And then it evolved from like, so for me, there was one year where I put out 5 videos a week, because I was like, I really want to grow to, I know it's an arbitrary number, but I was like, I want to hit 100,000 subscribers. Like, I teach people how to grow their followings, and people would sometimes look at me and be like, but you don't have that many followers. And I'd be like,
I'm focusing on your followers, right?
Right. But like, look at the bank account, because like you can't deposit subscribers into your bank account. Like, that's not what matters.
Yes.
But I wanted to have that credibility. So I was like, what would it take for me to grow to 100,000 subscribers? And so one year I hustled. I put out 5 videos a week, thinking that would be, getting me the subscribers and the leads. I got burnout. It's not. And it just, I was like, I'm tired of sharing this like how-to content and instructional, like, hey, so if you want to grow your business here, here's these 3 things, step 1, step 2, step 3, click link below, blah, blah, blah. Which we see everyone do.
Yeah.
So I actually took a break from content for a while. And when I came back to content, I put out we created a new category of video that we call a docu-stunt, a documentary publicity stunt. And for anyone watching, you should go to my channel, go to youtube.com/Marley Jaxx, and it's called I Got Canceled, and I did it to myself. It was a social experiment that it was an experiment to get myself canceled. And boy, it worked. I don't want to give it away, but there is a massive plot twist at the end, and it's really cool. It's also gone into some film festivals. It won Best Social Short Film at the LA Documentary Film Festival, at the Manhattan Film Festival. And it was cool to be at the film festival in a theater, watching people watch your work. Like, it's one thing to have it on the internet and you see the views go up and you see comments, but to actually be in a theater full of people watching. Yeah. It was so cool. And then at the end, like the crowd, like when there's that plot twist, which I don't want to tell you what happened, but there's a plot twist, people are like, what? So it's so cool to witness that. And so that was disruptive content. And it wasn't just a disruptive video that we just put out. Like, we launched it with a publicity stunt. I'm not saying that everyone has to do that, but it was an example of disruptive content. And we also faced head on cancel culture, because when we talk about disruptive content, we talked a little bit earlier, people are like, well, but does that mean that people are not going to like me? Yes, it does.
Yeah.
Period. When you take a stand for something, there are going to be people that don't like you. When you are polarizing and you are so like, you state your beliefs, you state what you stand for, there are going to be people that don't. But guess what? Push-pull language is a good thing, and people don't take action until they feel something. So yes, if you have people.
I want to repeat that. People don't take action unless they feel something.
Thank you.
So if you're like, oh, that was nice. That was like they have to be jazzed one way or another. Like peeved, I don't agree with you, or like, yes, hallelujah, this is totally me. Yeah.
Right. Yeah. And so we want strong emotional reactions. That means that the people that love it. They're going to be talking about it for months. The people that hate it, they're probably still going to be talking about it too. The people that loved the documentary, some people were like, that was the most brilliant marketing campaign I've ever seen. And some people were like, you emotionally manipulated us. How dare you? That was awful. But they're still talking about it months later.
Yeah, they remember
people who didn't know my name before remember me from that. And it's push-pull language, because I want to work with people that know and love and are on board with this mission. And the people that aren't, that's totally fine. I'm not going to sugarcoat or water down my message for people that are never going to be my customer. We want strong emotional reactions, both positive and negative.
Yeah. And that kind of goes into that story of becoming, like, really being confident of who it is that you are, and fairly representing that. So it's not creating this is what I'm receiving from you, but this is also kind of how I feel about it. It's not creating a persona. It's becoming your persona.
Yes. Yeah. Because we're not going to fake it. Like if you're standing up on a stage and you're reading a script and you don't care about it, you think people will see through that? You think that's sustainable, that you could be sharing that message
Yeah.
10 years from now, let alone a month from now? Like it's got to be something that you eat, sleep, and breathe it. It's something that you will die on that hill for it. You care about this so
Yeah.
much and that really is a test to see how much you believe in what you say you believe in when you get adversity, when you get negativity, because if you're doing it right, you will. The worst thing you can get is, like you said, someone that's like, it's okay.
Yeah.
Mediocre is not remembered.
Right. Right. And that journey of figuring out, I mean, do you find that there's a lot of resistance or I guess static around figuring out what your client wants to stand for? Or do your clients typically come up and be like, no, I know I want to stand for this. I just don't know how to do it. Like
Not
where
always. And
do they come?
sometimes they might have the idea, but we need to then create the angle or create the overall message from it. And so sometimes we're pulling that out of them. Sometimes they'll be like, yeah, this is what I do and this is how I help people. But then we'll typically interview our clients and we want to get them emotional about it too. Not saying if we make them cry, like we've hit a chord, right? But
Yeah.
if when you're in a conversation with someone and if they go off on a rant and you just feel this passion from them, that's what I'm trying to get them
Ding,
to.
ding, ding,
And
ding.
often the message is in there. But if it's like, yeah, I'm a teacher and I work with kids and I love being able to help these little minds grow and stuff. But then if it turns into like, the state of our world and I need to like passionately help this new generation of children and get rid of the trauma that's been through decades, like, whoa, that it's not about like help the children, yay, like
Yeah.
that's the sugar coated, that's the watered down. We got to find that part that they get passionate about so that then we can pull that out and amplify it and find the audience that's also going to receive that passion.
So how does somebody start working with you? Like what is that initial process?
Yeah, we do a pretty in-depth onboarding where, kind of like I said, we do like a deep interview. We do a lot of the boring stuff, the competitor research, the customer avatar, but it's like you can't start without that. We just put it into a framework that we call the brand fame formula. How do we make your brand famous for what you do? How do we create the disruptive messaging that if everyone else is talking about this, how do we zig when they zag? And when they eventually copy us, because what happens when something works is people will copy it. We already are going to be 6 months ahead. So we work with our clients where we create the formula, we call the brand fame formula. We sync their content with their personality, because there might be people that like they crush it on video, but there might be people that they don't, but they crush it on Twitter. Like we have clients that they're like, I'm not really good on video, but they're great on Twitter. They're good on written content. They're great on a podcast. And so you play to their strengths and we pull out the message in a way that I can get them fired up every single time they talk about it. And I say fired up, it's not necessarily like they're ranting all the time, but it's the message that the audience can also see that there is passion behind and spoken in a way that is disruptive to what people are commonly hearing. Like we've got to create those disruptive hooks that it's not just like, hey, today I'm going to share with you the 3 ways to, help your kids sleep better at night. It's like, you got to come up with a really powerful way of stating that is going to turn their heads.
Yeah. And so what I would love for people to hear about this too, it's not just kind of like, hey, this is a commercial for Marley. I want you to hear how an expert actually helps a client. Okay. Because part of my mission with Rock-It Fuel is to help people understand that if they're ambitious, they go faster. We all go faster when we connect with an expert that can help accelerate our personal growth or our professional growth, right? So whether you want to be that Rock-It Fuel for somebody, or you're looking for Rock-It Fuel in an area that you're not as strong at. And honestly, I wouldn't even say that you're not as strong at, because for me, having a marketing background, I find that I can't market myself as well as somebody else can, because your personal stories, your things get in the way of you being able to truly tell your story. So sometimes you may be the expert in that thing, but you need somebody else's expertise to really have that outside perspective, right? So this is why just kind of, Googling things or checking out 5 bazillion YouTube videos, it's great for you to learn and appreciate a particular niche and topic. But when it comes to doing it, I'm telling you that your clients need your time doing what you're uniquely brilliant at, not you figuring out what somebody else is already uniquely brilliant at. Okay. And we're going to continue here, but Marley is actually one of our invited, curated experts at the Rock-It Fuel Metaverse conference, or the grand opening of the Rock-It Fuel Metaverse event. Okay, the Rock-It Fuel Metaverse is the first educational hub, social club for ambitious entrepreneurs. Our goal is to bring you into this virtual environment where you have access to not only each other, but to experts like this, and that you can actually understand what it is that your business needs and who are the experts that you need to connect with in your next 90 days, right? So this is truly important. So if you're intrigued with all of this, of what Marley's talking about, and I know that you're going to really open up on your docu-stunt and the tactics, the experience of filming it, but then actually being able to kind of, I know that there are ups and downs. There must have been times where you, I don't know, did you ever have regret or of kind of going through this process of committing to a docu-stunt?
No, when I was in it, it was hard. Just like
Yeah.
anything, just like
Yeah.
anything that is worth doing when you're creating a new paradigm for your life, your business, even working out in the gym. Like when you're lifting weights, are you like, I don't want to be doing this? Sometimes, sometimes you're loving it. Sometimes you're like, yeah, feel the burn. I was feeling the burn while we were creating this docu-stunt. It was hard. And especially in the moment where we did the publicity stunt where I got canceled, I had texts coming in, I had messages, I had phone calls, and I had, for the purpose of this documentary, I had to be silent. And so I'm like, here's the world, my peers, strangers are believing something about me that is not only not true, I planted it.
Right.
And when I reveal the truth and tell them what happened, it's not over because people will then respond to that. So there was a lot of discomfort in creating it. But as we know, comfort does not happen in, growth doesn't happen in the comfort zone, and comfort doesn't come in the growth zone. So it was something that was uncomfortable. And same thing with sometimes even just writing a Facebook post where you're sharing a belief or a value you have, there are going to be people that don't have that value and it might be uncomfortable. But if you believe in it enough, you're also going to, that when you put those reps in, you earn that competence and you earn that confidence. After that, if I get a negative comment on my posts, I feel like I've gotten authority over that. When I used to get a negative comment on my posts a year ago, even if I didn't know the person, I would that hurt my feelings. They don't know me. Like, do I have to do a different video to prove myself somewhere? Now after that, I'm like, that's cute. Like, whatever. That's not my person. But so doing that has also completely changed my reaction, my mindset. It's made me stronger. And now I'm like, I have to walk the walk in creating disruptive content. You know what? Sometimes, and I expect, of course I'm going to get more negative comments in the future. And I am 1,000% positive that some of them are going to sting. It doesn't mean I'm immune to it.
Right.
But Marley now can handle it a lot more than Marley a year ago.
Yeah. And that's what I want to point out. It's not becoming a person that just doesn't care about what other people say, right? It's we all have that feeling of, oh, wow. I mean, we don't want to disappoint people. We don't, I mean, but the reality is that even in our own personal world, there are people that jive with us and people that don't. And what you want to do is amplify who you are so you can attract all those people that jive with you. And then ultimately that is going to amplify the people that want to say something about not, right? That have to say something. But I think what's interesting is as you take your clients through this disruptive marketing journey, once they actually agree and say, okay, I want to go here, then inherent in being disruptive, you know that you're going to receive this negative feedback. And I think Marley, it's more, it has a greater impact than just helping them with their marketing. I hope you realize that
Mm,
because
thank you.
it's and I saw you even recently, you were kind of posting about how just the concept of being disruptive uh kind of had you being disruptive in your own life. Like you were saying, oh, I'm going to wake up and maybe do something a little bit different in the morning. Can you talk a little bit about what that means to bring the concept of being disruptive into just your everyday life?
Yeah, yeah. I'm so glad you asked about that because, yes, that's something that I think about is how can I actually embody disruption? And
Yeah.
it's not that I have to go out and like stand on a street corner and yell profanities.
Right, right.
It can be like, how do I disrupt what is typical in other people's content, in my own content? You know, like my information diet. What am I consuming? Because the quality of my content is also related to the quality of the content that I consume. To be a good content creator
Mhm.
means to be a good content consumer. So I will change up what I am consuming drastically sometimes. I will
Mhm.
also change my routine because if you have a routine, like your days just all feel the same, instead of a
Yep.
daily routine, like have a weekly routine that there's variety in every day. And I love this so much. When I do something spontaneous, I feel like it makes my day. It's kind of funny though that I'm like, I can't plan spontaneity. But the other day, like after dinner, I was like, hey, kids, do you want to go for a walk? It's like 7 o'clock at night, it's dark. And I was like, let's just randomly go on a walk. We got on our boots, we went outside, we saw the Christmas lights in our neighborhood. It was like it made my week. And when you have
Yeah.
those different Julia Cameron in the book The Artist's Way, she talks about taking yourself on artist dates where you go and you just experience something different, something new. You create these new inputs for creativity.
Yes.
So also, you know, something I did recently, I woke up and usually my pattern is I wake up, I check my phone. I woke up, I got my shoes on and I immediately went for a walk. And on my phone, instead of checking my stuff, I turned on my recorder and I talked to myself for 45 minutes on
Uh-huh.
a walk. And a lot of that turned into content. And it just felt so good to start my day that way. And so
Yes.
that was what triggered this. How do I just do things that are disruptive to my patterns, to my normal behaviors, to my thoughts, to what I'm consuming? Even, you know, I talked about information diet. Also, you know, food. Like I started doing the carnivore diet. I was like, I'm just gonna try it. Like cold turkey.
Yeah.
It's funny to say cold turkey and carnivore.
I know.
I was just like, I'm just gonna do carnivore diet. And I like to change things up and get these new, I don't know, perspectives that are disrupting what I am consuming in my day-to-day life, which will then create what I get to produce.
Yeah, yeah. And that's why I was saying like it's really interesting how helping people um create disruptive content. Part of it is this feeling of like at some point am I no longer going to be creative enough to be disruptive, right? Like how when is it going to stop? Is it going to dry up? But if you live a disruptive lifestyle, then that is going to disrupt your mind. It's going to disrupt those patterns and allow you to continuously be creative. When we watch things, I love that information diet concept.
Mhm.
When we watch things that we would never ever explore before, all of a sudden it could give us this idea of how it relates to our business. And so I see this as something to potentially kind of consider if you haven't considered yet, that the future, the next level of your clients being interested in disruptive marketing is for them to actually embody this disruptive lifestyle so that
Yes.
they can stay in their creative zone, because you are a natural creative, right?
Mhm.
And so I think you found like this special key for yourself. You're doing it for others, but you're embodying it, and in this process you're going to be able to be even more creative for your clients. And I think part of it is going to help people become more confident that they can flow in this creativity because they're mixing it up in their own life.
And if people are struggling with resonating with, well, what do you mean disruptive lifestyle? You can replace that with spontaneity and play.
Yes.
And
Yes.
play. A lot of the times it's like, yes, you put in the effort to create that foundation. And after that, we're just making it up. After that, we're just playing.
Yes. Yeah. Yeah. It's not wearing like, thick black eyeliner and whatever. It doesn't mean you have to color your hair purple. Although, that's pretty cool. But yeah, if you want to, that's cool too. But it's disruptive for you, because mixing it up is going to just open up so many creative doors, open up your heart, your energy. This is really, really exciting. And guys, this is why Marley is Rock-It Fuel. Yeah, no, I totally love this. So if you guys are interested in hearing more about Marley, first of all, I want to tell you to text RFM to 1-909-741-1321. Pull out your phone, because that's going to give you more information about the Rock-It Fuel Metaverse. We're going to send you announcements. We're going to send you information of when Marley's on the stage, when her replays are on, and exclusive invitations specifically for ambitious entrepreneurs. This works whether you are in the US or outside of the US. If you're outside of the US, you could just use WhatsApp. So you're going to pull out your phone, you're going to text RFM to 1-909-741-1321. I'm going to add that to the comments of these videos. I want you to do that because I want you to be in the know. I want you to know when Marley is about to go on stage. But I also would like you, Marley, to share, where can people find you? Obviously, they can go to marleyjaxx.com. That's an amazing website. Tons of information about you and all of the projects that you're involved in. But where else would you like to send them?
Yeah, well, come check me out on YouTube. Come check out the docu-stunt that we talked about. You can also go to vipleadmachine.com, and we have a free training there about how we create disruptive content.
You're awesome. I'm going to put that up right now. Boom, vipleadmachine.com. All right. And I want to thank you so much. I'm very excited to be premiering you on the Rock-It Fuel Metaverse stage.
My first time in a metaverse. This is crazy. And people watching, like, I just got a sneak peek at it before we started this. I've never seen anything like this before. You need to check it out.
Awesome. Awesome. Meet Meta Marley in the metaverse. Once again, text RFM to 1-909-741-1321. And thank you so much, Marley Jaxx, for joining us on the Rock-It Fuel podcast. You are truly Rock-It Fuel, and we'll see you in the Rock-It Fuel Metaverse. Talk to you soon. Bye.